Yeah, we do. All right, good luck, guys. That's TST. There, walking.
Yeah, we can fix this. I want a pin like that. TST. Yeah. Spike on it, say TST.
All right. Good evening. Welcome. 2023 Region 4 SafeCon Awards Banquet. It's been a long time coming. Really happy to have everybody here. Thankful for a great safe competition. You know, we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor, if you will. So we're going to get started here. I'd like to introduce to you all as a first welcome Dr. Benjamin Caldwell. He is our provost and vice president for academic affairs and a professor for mechanical engineering here. Dr. Caldwell joined Turner University back in 2012. He's been teaching a number of courses here for us before moving into the provost office. And he and his family live here in Longview. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Benjamin Caldwell.
Well, good evening. As Phil said, I'm Dr. Caldwell, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. And I'd like to first say welcome. I think this is the end of your week, but I don't know if you got a greeting at the beginning, but we're glad you're here. We're glad you made it through the week safely, and that we're here for this awards banquet today. And I'd also like to just welcome you on behalf of our faculty and our staff. Our president, Dr. Mason, who was not able to make it, he had some obligations this evening. But thanks for taking the time to travel in. We know you've spent a lot of time preparing for this week, and we're glad that we could share our facilities, our resources, our time with you all. We're very proud of our aviation programs and facilities, and so it's been great to share that with you and to support NIFA and you all in this way. And special thanks to the School of Aviation, Phil, who spent a lot of time preparing for this event, our judges, and everybody who's been involved. You may have gathered this week that we consider ourselves a Christian polytechnic institution. We've seen that around a few places. We've been using that language for several years now, and it really dates back to our founders, R.G. and Evelyn Letourneau. Mr. Letourneau was a successful entrepreneur, a businessman, inventor, evangelist. He held 299 patents, many in large equipment like earth-moving equipment, offshore oil platforms, an electric wheel he invented with an integrated motor in the hub. This is decades ago, before this was more commonplace. He manufactured all kinds of earth-moving equipment. More than about 70% of the equipment used in World War II was manufactured by his companies. He had a facility here in Longview. It's just down the road. It still operates today. It's under a different name, but they build the largest front wheel loader in the world. This thing, for nerds like me, I'm a mechanical engineer, 2,300 horsepower engine. That's pretty awesome. That's 160,000 pound lift. So I was able to see one, take my kids up a couple years ago. And I mean, not a ton come off the line, but I think it's about a 6 or 7 foot tire. These things are amazing. But that was kind of R.G. Letourneau. His posture was that there are no big problems, just small machines. So he was always doing bigger and better. And that's kind of ingrained in our DNA here. Mr. Letourneau was a Christian. He felt his role as a businessman was an important way to serve God, just like a pastor serves the Lord. And different, but just as important. And in 1946, he and his wife founded the Letourneau Technical Institute, serving World War II veterans at the end of the war. And since then, we've grown to a comprehensive university with undergraduate and graduate programs across many different disciplines. And so coming back to this Christian Polytechnic University, just to kind of unpack that briefly, you know, as Christians, we're a faith-based institution. We believe that God has created us out of an abundance of love. He created humanity to love, to share that love with others. And we are created in His image, so we are creative ourselves, and that's reflected in the things that we do, and in the way we ought to reflect that as best we can. As a polytechnic institution, we value a practical and applied hands-on education that's currently situated in our technological world. And as a university, we see the importance of all disciplines, right? This unity of all disciplines coming together for a complete holistic education. So that's kind of how we think about that. And like our founder, we view things like he was a businessman and viewed that as a way to serve. We view things like, or all of what we do, our flying or maintaining aircraft, as an important part of what God's up to in this world. It's important for human flourishing. So we like to think about the ways, the things that we're doing support the flourishing of humanity, or sometimes maybe contribute to the brokenness of the world. So it's been great to see what you all have done this week, the ways that you have just flown airplanes and you study flight and you understand kind of how the world is created and how flying actually happens, right? Preparing planes for takeoff and for landing and for carrying the people on board. We see these things as contributing to the flourishing of society. And that's fun. That's fun to see. So thank you for what you're doing, the ways you're pouring into this with skill and with care. And we'd love to see you continue to do that. But we do, again, appreciate you all for coming, for taking the time, for the preparation. We hope you enjoy the rest of the evening and have a safe trip back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. Next, I would like to introduce our Dean of the College of Aviation and Aeronautical Science, Mr. David Tester.
Well, again, welcome. I hope you enjoyed your time at the Epicenter and at Latrobe University. I do owe an apology to one of the Oklahoma State people. I don't know who was singing the other day. Okay, it wasn't that bad.
No, it was.
But no, we like to have fun at Latrobe. We enjoy each other's company, and we enjoy you, and hopefully you all felt welcome the whole time. I'm going to keep my stuff short because it's about time to eat. You guys probably care more about that than anything else. But yeah, we just really enjoyed having you out there. It was fun to watch. It was fun to see all of you competing. It was fun to see you at our airports and our facility. So I'm going to pray, and then I believe it will be time to eat. So let me just pray for us. Dear Heavenly Father, I do thank you for all that you do for us, Lord, that you love us, that you care about us, that you enjoy the things that we enjoy, Lord. I thank you that you allow us to fly, you allow us to maintain, you allow us to work on aviation, Lord. I just thank you for the safety that you provided for us this week. I thank you for the opportunities to meet each other, to share meals with each other, and just time with each other, Lord. I pray for this food, and I pray that you would bless our bodies. In Jesus' name.
Okay, very quickly before we get to the food, my apologies. I need to just thank, we got a bunch of judges in the back here. Thank you all for coming and for spending your time. Most of you all know this is all volunteer on the judges' side. They bid the time off. They take the time off. They travel here on their own dime. They get their own place to stay during this. So got a couple judges scattered around. So let's give them all a hand. Associate Dean, and Mr. Bruce Chase, he's a department chair on the flight science side of the house. Both very instrumental in helping us make sure that we got things done efficiently this week, so they're all part of the discussions. The other people I want to thank, they're not here tonight, but our airport authority folks, the director of operations who's out with us, Brad Cranston, and the air traffic control folks. They really made things as smooth as they could for us this week. Little hiccups here and there, but really quite fantastic in the scheme of things. So let's give them a hand. I know they're not here, but. So this is I believe, a serve yourself style deal where we've got brisket, we've got chicken. Help yourselves, enjoy the meal, and then we'll get started with the rest of the program here in just a little bit. We're going to start with front center here so they can get rolling on their eating, and then we'll slowly work our way that way. All right? So please. All right. For your attention, y'all keep eating. Going to introduce your keynote speaker for the evening. Captain Rick Wilson, Vice President of Flight Operations for Envoy Air, American Airlines Group Company. In his role, Captain Wilson oversees all facets of the airline flight operations, leading the airlines team more than 2,500 professional aviators. Rick holds a bachelor's of science degree in aviation technology from LaTourneau University with an emphasis in engineering and mechanics. He's completed an advanced executive program at Kellogg School of Management from Northwestern University, an aviation safety and security program at George Washington University. In addition to being an FAA licensed air transport pilot with over 7,000 hours of flight experience in 6 type ratings, he's also an FAA licensed aircraft, airframe, and power plant mechanic. Please join me in welcoming Captain Rick Wilson.
All right, I guess I'll just stay close to this. I'm sure everybody can hear me. It's great to see everybody. It's been a long week, right? But you clean up nice. All right. Okay, I have some notes here. So first disclaimer is I am a professional pilot, not a professional speaker. All right, but we'll try to keep this interesting. Hopefully we can all relate. Now for demographics, so I kind of know who I'm talking to here. By show of hands, who are all the pilots in the room? All right, almost all. All right, good. Good. I know sometimes at these NIFA events, there's other people besides pilots that participate in the compete. So do we have any mechanics in there? All right. Yeah, one other. All right. How about dispatchers? Any dispatchers? How about just ab geeks? Right? All right, I need all of you to come see me. All right. Okay, so mainly it looks like we got flights, so we should be able to relate here pretty good. Let me start out with a story. So I'm going to go back 35 years ago when I started with American Eagle at that time. We were the original American Eagle, now called Envoy. Long story there. I can bore you with that if you'd like to hear it sometime. But 35 years ago, I remember sitting out at the old short pad. I was flying, just started as a first officer. I was flying a Jetstream 31. Anybody in here by show of hands remember what a Jetstream 31 is? Just a couple, right? So small 19-seat turboprop, right? No autopilot, no flight deck door, no flight attendant, no flight director either. So all raw data. Anyway, started out on that. So we're sitting out at DFW on the whole short pad, right? And I look over at my captain, been in the industry for years, gray hair, and he's sitting over there, his reading glasses down here on the end of his nose, right? He's got a little chain, got him on. I looked over at him and I was like, man, something. I mean, this guy is so cool. If I could just be that. Well, false advertising, these things suck. Try to avoid this as long as you can, especially on the flight deck. Because you're sitting here and see all your instruments. Of course, my distance vision's good, so you can see out here. Then you go to the overhead panel and then you're trying to do this. So anyhow, all right. Now, who in here would rather be out flying an airplane than listening to me? All right. Again, those are the people I want to see afterwards. Right? That's what we all want to do. But let's talk about a few things. I was trying to think about what to share with you. And usually when I'm out talking with groups, everybody wants to know how I got to this point. All right? So I'm not trying to talk about myself, but I'm just going to give you the path. Let's give you some what ifs of how incredibly exciting this industry is and all the opportunities that are in front of you.
Because as many of you, I started out, all I wanted to do was a pilot, right? And it has morphed into a lot of other things that I thoroughly enjoy. So, as mentioned, as they were doing my introduction, I'm a graduate here. Well, actually, let's go back further. So, I was born on a stormy and wintry night. No, we won't go there. But every one of us, there's that moment when you decided, this is what I want to do. All right, so for me, that was when I was in middle school, family vacation. My parents paid for one of those helicopter tour rides when we were down in Branson, Missouri, flying out over the Ozarks. 30 minutes, that's all it was. It was just me and the helicopter pilot. Climbed in there. I got off that helicopter. I knew at that point, this is what I want to do, right? I want to be in the air. So I was very fortunate that I was able to come here to LaTourneau University for my education. 4-year program, like many of you are in, right? As our Dean of Engineering, right, I will say that I took, I first did my A&D, then we did all our flight ratings. Along the way, I kind of fluffed up our classes with some engineering courses. And I took enough engineering to know I'm not an engineer. Okay. And as a matter of fact, the funny story with LaTourneau is when I was going through, what we used to do is you get into one of these engineering classes, right? And the professor would say, all right, I need all my pilots. And there'd be 3 or 4 of us in there. You go, okay, I need all of you to go over into that corner over there. Right? Those are your seats over there. And then he would teach the engineers in the room. And then when he was done teaching the engineers, then he'd go, okay, now for the pilots, here's what I need you to do, right? So I know I was not an engineer. Pilot was where I was needed to be. Okay, so my path, so from LaTourneau, I came out, my first real professional job was working at a fixed base operation. So I was working at an NFBO, okay? Pumping gas. I was doing this while I was going through school, pumping gas, ended up in a supervisory position out there. Would fly with our charter guys. I was very, very fortunate. Made friends with one of our charter pilots that had a multi-engine instructor rating, which was like gold, right? Because I could go fly with him at night after classes, and he'd go do his freight runs, right? And he'd sign it off as dual received, right? So I was getting all this flight time, multi-engine time, which was highly valuable back in those days. Still valuable today, but it was really, really valuable back then. So when I graduated, I had a pretty good flight, because most of you know your program is going to have you at that 250, 300 hour mark on total time, and maybe, depending on your program, 25, 50 hours on multi-engine. I graduated, I think my total flight time was right around 750 hours and 250 hours multi. So I was pretty marketable when I came out of school. But my first professional job was flying night freight. And the way I got that job is the company actually was cold calling out to Longview and calling the FBO saying, we need a pilot. Do you know of anybody? And the gal that answered the phone was like, oh yeah, I know somebody. And so they gave me my name and phone number and called me. I gave them my resume, and even back then, my resume, I was probably at 1,000 hours total time. They were like, we were really looking for more experience, but why don't you come on over to Dallas, we'll give you an interview. So anyhow, I got the job. Right. From there, this charter pilot that I told you about that helped me get all that multi-time, free multi-time, he went on and he got a job at American Eagle. And he kept hounding me, as I was flying night freight. Where are you at on your flight time? Bad thing about night freight is, I was only getting about 2 hours of flight time a day, so it was really slow building. But I eventually got to the minimums that we needed back then, which was you had to have 500 hours of multi-time, and you needed over 1,500 hours total time. That's not familiar, what's required now. That was the minimums we were hiring at. He called me up one day, he's like, where you at on your logbook? I told him what the numbers, he goes, okay, he goes, you got the numbers. He goes, we're gonna be hiring. He goes, I want you to come to Dallas tomorrow, I want you to meet our chief pilot. So he walks in, introduces me to the chief pilot. We did a little informal interview, if you will. Then he sends me downstairs to do a written test and exam. And that was like on a Friday. On Monday, they called me. That was 35 years ago. And I started my career with American Eagle, which soon became bought by American Airlines. And we're a wholly owned entity of American Airlines today. Now, my career path at American, I started out just as a line pilot. Out doing my job, I was flying. I had been flying on the line for about 5 years. And I was going through transition training. I was going from jetstream captain to a Saab captain. Anybody remember Saab 340? Right. A little bit of an upgrade, 34 passengers, turbo prop, but it had a flight deck during the flight. It was like I died and got it up. Finally felt like a real airline pilot. But I was going through that transition training in the sim, and we're probably about halfway through our training, and the instructor asked me to stay after one of our lessons. It's always a scary thought, right? So my sim partner left, and he goes, hey, have you ever thought about being an instructor? And I said, no, not really. He goes, well, I really think you'd make a good instructor. So I went home, looked at the contract, pays really good to be an instructor. So I called him back up, I said, yeah, So he introduced me to the manager at the time. Again, I did an informal interview. They said, as long as you get your type rating, pass your type rating without any problem, job's yours. So that went smoothly. And I moved into our training department. So I was in our training department as instructor check airman for about 5 years. About halfway into that 5-year mark, I got the tap on the shoulder one day saying, hey, we'd like you to be our lead check airman, right? Overseeing the standards for all the check airmen in the department. Right? At the time, I thought, okay, that's a little hard. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. So then I started going and evaluating some of the other instructor check airmen. I was like, I see the difference between the way I do things and how some of these other guys do. So how I got the job there. I was in that role for about 5 years, and I got another tap on the shoulder, and we had what we call our technical pilot position open. So our tech pilot is the guy that writes the operating manual, the emergency checklist, your normal checklist, do all the liaison work with the FAA, interdepartmental work with the maintenance team, with the in-flight team, as well as the liaison work with the airplane manufacturer. Well, with my A&P mechanics background, right, and the engineering I took, it was a really good fit. And I ended up in that job, ended up lead check airman on the ATR. And then from there, lead check airman, or lead pilot on the Embraer 145. And then the CRJ-700. So I spent about 7 years in that department, moving through some of the different fleet technical positions. And then got a call one day asking me to be the director of the department. Okay? After that, I got tapped to become the vice president of safety and compliance for the airline. Now, this was the first time I stepped out of a typical pilot role, right? Thinking like a pilot. President of the company is the one who called me into his office and asked me if I'd take the job. Again, pays really good. Okay, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And keeping in mind, every one of these jobs I had, they still let me continue to fly. Right? So I still maintain my qualifications, still would go out and fly, and then I do all this fun stuff on the side. So with safety, I had flight safety, but I also had maintenance safety, and then I had employee safety, which was a whole new world with OSHA. I also had environmental, so I was dealing with the EPA. I had security, so I was dealing with the TSA. It really was quite an opportunity, right, to bring in the scope. We were 18,000 employees at the time, and we were close to 3,000 pilots. So big operation. I did that for 5 years. Then I get the tap on the shoulder to move over to our command center. I ran our command center for 3 years, so that was over dispatch, over crew scheduling, over crew resourcing. So that's the group that decides how many pilots we need, how many flight attendants we need, where do we need them, what airplane we need them on, where they need to be based, how many people do we need to hire, and also had all the DOT reporting that goes into the DOT. Did that for 3 years, and then I moved over into my latest role, which is Vice President of Flight Ops, and I've been in that for 7 years. Now, hopefully that opens your eyes to some opportunities that are, this is just the airline, what's available for you in the airline world. But most companies and corporations are going to have these types of opportunities. But what I want you to note, or at least I hope you noted, is nowhere along that line did you hear me say, I wanted this position, I applied for this, right? If you go all the way back to my very first job, every promotion I've had to do with who I am and not what I am. Okay? You think about it. We all graduate here, we all have the exact same skill set. We all look exactly the same on paper. When you show up at your interviews in your blue suits and red ties, you all look alike. Okay? What's going to make the difference along the path are going to be the relationships that you build. Now, do you need to work hard and study hard? Because yes, you do have to have the technical skill, right, to back up those jobs. But the opportunities that you're going to get are going to be because of the people you know. I heard your mom and dad say this forever. Somebody's always watching. Okay? It's very true. Push yourself to always do everything you can at 110%, and you will be successful. You won't even have to try to find it, it will come to you. Okay? Now, I just kind of hit on a little bit of what it takes to be successful in this industry. The biggest thing is you got to be a long-term thinker. Now, this room is already there, okay? Because what you're in is a 4-year program. Some of you maybe 4.5, some 5, okay? All right? But it's a 4-year program. When you come out of here, you all know it's going to take you another couple of years to build that flight time to be able to get to an airline. Right? And I'm making some assumptions here about us being an airline pilot. I know that's not true, right? But I'm going to assume that. right? So your pathway, you got 4 years of school, then you got another 2 years of building your flight time to get on at a regional airline, right? If you get on a regional airline, now you're looking at about 2.5 years to a captaincy, then you're looking at another 2.5, 3 years to be able to get to a mainline carrier. That's the way your typical path is going to be. There's some exceptions to that, all right? Once you get to that mainline carrier, right, one of the things I always tell my new hire classes is the best thing about the airline industry is the seniority-based system, all right? So you can be Chuck Yeager when it comes to your pilot skills. You can be mediocre, and your seniority number comes up, you upgrade to captain. Right? It's not somebody's picking who they like and who's the best, right? Seniority-based system. The worst thing about the airline business, it's a seniority-based system, okay? So you're gonna spend, if you think about it, we're already on a trajectory here of at least 10 years to get to a mainline carrier. When you get to that mainline carrier, you are the bottom of that seniority, right? So you're gonna spend time, and we've got some of your judges in the room that are currently in this state of affairs, right? They are at a mainline, they're junior, they're working weekends, they're working holidays, right? That's part of it. So you're gonna take now several more years where you finally, you're starting to get the lifestyle, the schedule that you like, and you upgrade to captain. You upgrade to captain, you go back to the bottom, now you're the most junior captain, so now you're back on reserve, working weekends, working holidays, all right? But once you get past that, the rewards are incredible, right? Your lifestyle will be really good, right? The airline money is ridiculous right now, I'll be the first to say. Your time off is ridiculous, right? You'll have plenty of time to work on your golf game, right? Snowboarding, whatever your hobbies are, fishing, right? You'll be able to afford that bass boat, right? But you have to think long term. Even as good as the industry is moving right now, that is still a very long path. So you gotta think long term, and to be able to think long term like that, you really just gotta have a passion for this industry and what you're doing. If you don't absolutely love what you're doing right now, it's not gonna be any better, okay? Here's another old captain story. Sitting out there holding short, and I'm in my little jet stream, got DC-10 pulls up beside us. So American DC-10, little American Eagle, turboprop. Captain looks over me and he goes, you know what those guys are talking about? I go, what? He goes, they're complaining about their schedule, they're complaining about their pay, right? So, moral of the story was, they're complaining over there in that big old jet about all the same things we're complaining about over here. So, again, if you don't have a passion for this industry, which you do, right? You'll just be miserable. It doesn't get any better than this, where you're at right now. Discipline and structure. You probably hear your professors, your flight instructors talk about it all the time. I can tell you for the airline world, it definitely is, right? We like to hire at Envoy American Airlines, we like to hire out of the universities that y'all are attending because they're very structured, well-disciplined programs. Next question is, who in here wants to be a CFI? Y'all are liars. Okay? Nobody wants to be a flight instructor. All right? Now, hopefully you did raise your hand realizing that is the best path forward, right? I'm going to tell you that we have the best results when we take applicants like yourself who come out of these well-structured universities and stay and teach in that structured environment, and then come to our airline, you just fly through training. If you come out of here and you decide, well, I've got this friend, he's gonna let me fly right seat on his King Air, yes, CFI is not a glamorous job. But the people that go off and wander off and do other things, they struggle when they show up back at the airline because they've gone and spent that 2 years in a very non-structured discipline program. So I encourage you to do that. And the old adage of, if you really want to know something, teach it, is going to be very true, right? So you're going to graduate, you have all your certificates, you think you know everything, until that first time that you have to go and try to explain to somebody how they're going to do this turnabout point, or they're going to do this stall, right? Those are the things that are going to really sharpen your skills and gives you a solid foundation for where you're going to move forward. Obviously, you got to have a great attention to detail that kind of goes with being disciplined and structured. And you got to always be wanting to learn more. Okay? This is a never-ending, and it's probably true of most industries, but you are going to continue to learn this entire time. I can tell you, you can tell by the airplanes I've flown, right? If I go back 35 years ago, I'm having a hard time standing by this one. The technology is advancing so fast, right? In everything we do, whether it be how we pre-flight, or whether it be the aircraft that we operate, or the air traffic control system that we operate in, you're always going to be learning new stuff. As an airline pilot, you probably already know this, right? You're going to come back through the schoolhouse every year and go through training, go through checking, go through evaluations multiple times during the year. Out on the line, you get checked and evaluated. You get checked and evaluated in the simulator, right? So you're always going to be learning. So you got to keep that appetite for learning to be successful. All right. Here's the great news, right? And I think you already know it. The baby boomers are retiring. I mean, for pilots, it's like 6,000 pilots a year. Our technicians, it's the same number. So the opportunities are incredible. Again, still a long path to get there, but there are incredible opportunities out there in front of them. It's a great time to be in the industry. And even though I didn't go through such a glamorous time that you're entering, I still absolutely loved it. I have no regrets about anything I've ever done to prepare. There's not been a day one that I haven't showed up for work not knowing to be there, right? This industry gives you an amazing opportunity for that. Okay, so let me, well, no, I'm not ready to close. Dean Tester said that I could also do, plug on the way. Right? So I'm going to do a recruitment speech here real quick. I'll make it brief. So many of you I do know want to pursue the airline. So let me make sure you understand what Envoy American Airlines has to offer as far as I think every one of the universities represented here, we have a partnership with. And that is, you can interview with us as a student, right? As soon as you have, technically, as soon as you have your private pilot, you can come in and do your HR interview, right? See if you're the right kind of people. After that, once you have your commercial multi, you can come back in and do your technical interview. And then after that, if you're accepted, we just do a logbook check as soon as you get your CFIs done, okay? So you can do all this while you're in school. If you're accepted into our program, you'll come to work for us. In many of our programs, we actually make you an employee. You become an Envoy employee with all the American Airlines benefits, health, medical. Y'all are young, you don't realize you need that, but you do. Travel benefits, travel anywhere on the American Airlines network for free, okay? Space to go. disclaimer. But really, you can travel all over the world, doesn't cost you a dime. And a lot of our young pilots and instructors do that. Then you go and you instruct, right? So this whole time you're instructing, you're an employee of the company, right? And we will give you a $15,000 bonus that helps offset that cost you just spent on getting your CFI otherwise. And then as soon as you have your 1,500 hours, or if you're, well, everybody in here is probably restricted ATP at 1,000. So once you get your 1,000 hours, then we put you in first officer class. We are one of the few growing regional airlines out there right now. Most have stopped their hiring, have slowed down their hiring. Do have similar type pathway programs, but they're not taking anybody into them. We are still going strong. So we'll put you in class, train you as a first officer. Right now, we're running about 2.5 years to a captaincy, and then about 2.5 years after that to American Airlines. And like I said, it is a seniority-based, it's the only seniority-based pathway program in the industry. Everybody's got one, United, Delta, and everybody's got a pathway program. But what they have is you get selected, but you don't know when you're going to go, right? So you interview, you're going to go at some point, but you don't know when. With ours, it's seniority. You will know when you go. You're going to get a senior number coming up when you move over. We've got over, we're almost 3,000 envoy pilots now flying for American Airlines. That's how many people we ran through the program. So it's proven and successful. Envoy is the largest operator for American Airlines. We operate the Embraer 175, which is a beautiful airplane, actually a dream to fly. We have bases Chicago, Dallas, Phoenix, and Miami, so we have great hubs. We operate from East Coast to West Coast, Canada, Mexico, Caribbean, South America, right? So we're not what you really think of as a regional airline. You're going to fly all over. What else can I say? I think my 35 years with the company speaks a lot to what a good corporation is, right? So if you have any interest in this pathway, please keep us in mind. If you don't get into the cadet program, once you reach your ATP minimums, right, come see us. We'd love to have you on our flight deck. And I say that because I know we only hire the best of the best. And I know the students that compete at this level in NIFA are the best of the best. So I can tell you, I'd like to have every one of you on the flight deck and on the American Airlines. All right, there's my plug. Let me go ahead and wrap up. And I think I want to quote your generation's famous philosopher, Ed Sheeran. The main thing that you have to remember on this journey is just be nice to everyone and smile. Now, his words is the heart that's behind that, right? It's not just an action, it's the heart. And the truth of it is, Proverbs 3, verse 2. Verse 3. Never let loyalty and kindness leave you. Tie them around your neck as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Then you will find the favor with God and people, and you will earn good reputation. Thank you.
All right. Without further ado, we'll give out some hardware. Mr. Jonathan Regal, our Chief Judge.
Thank you, Bill. And I just want to let
let you know the Rangers are up 4-2. Right. I know y'all are really excited and anxious to hear these scores that we've got. I was following, I think it was one of the contestants for Oklahoma State. He said that his blood pressure or his heart rate has not gone below 120 today. So need to, I feel like y'all are all kind of in this setup right now, so we'll go ahead and get started. I do want to, really quick, I'm going to go ahead and step away from the microphone real quick, because I want to make this as evenly as possible. You can really get wrapped up in these scores that you're probably about to hear. You've worked really hard this week. You've really worked hard these last couple of months. School starts, you go to practice every Saturday, every weekend, whenever y'all practice, y'all worked really hard. These scores do not define you. These scores, the reason that you are good aviators is because you've chosen to go above and beyond, go above the ACS standards, and want to be good pilots. And you need to be proud about that. Even if you didn't get the place that you wanted, you worked your butt off, and you didn't get the score you wanted, because you're in this room, you're above the rest. And you need to accept that. I'm going to be telling a story here about one of our competitors who got a really bad score last year, and then this year, he's in first place. And that's what it's about. You might get shot down today. It depends. What makes you great is what you do tomorrow and next year. All right. So with the scoring system is set up to have the top 20 be scored. So if you got 20th, that'll be 1 point toward the SACON championship, and so forth. We're going to announce the top 10 to keep things rolling. That way you can more quickly see the final results on NIFA.aero at the time. So I believe the top 10, we're going to stand up at least, and then the top 5 will come to CPhil. The Simulated Comprehensive Aircraft Navigation Event, or SCAN. This week it was in Hawaii. This test is used to test your knowledge and your flight planning skills. In 10th place, from Oklahoma State University, Christopher Hutchinson. In 9th place, from Oklahoma State University, Macy Newman. In 8th place, from Louisiana Tech University, Michael Palumbo. In 7th place, from the University of Oklahoma, Jordan Clemens. In 6th place, from Texas State Technical College, James Hester. In 5th place,